Okay, so you covered a lot of things in the book, which I want to talk about because I recently saw your interview with Tamara Hall, which I also want to talk about because as an interviewer, it's always interesting watching all of, people's styles. And so it was really interesting and to know you personally, you seemed a little guarded in the interview. Was that you just wanting to get more like needing to get more comfortable with doing interviews, or was it that particular interview, at least in my opinion, that you looked a little guarded or a little not Tamika?
You know, I'm an energy person, and I don't mean to be cliche how everybody's like putting their stones in the sun and all that. I'm not doing that, but I'm an energy person and I feel your vibe, right? So I felt her vibe was cold, but I love her. I love Tamara. She's beautiful. I'm grateful that she's a black woman in a position she's in to even be interviewing me. You know what I mean? So I find good in all of it. I did feel that it was a little shaky.
Mhm. What part in particular? Because we could just, I guess, start there and talking about the book, the new book, Here I Stand. So you were doing an interview with her and you were talking about a lot of different things. One of the topics that at least that I was very much like, here we go, was when she started to talk about the death of your child. I've lost a brother, very, very, very traumatic situation. And I didn't see the empathy. I didn't see I saw she was laying up the conversation. I didn't see that she was really getting into the heart um, of the emotion that goes behind something like that. Was that the part for you?
I don't think it was about my son that was cold. I just her energy, she just didn't feel warm and fuzzy. She wasn't like I didn't feel the empathy. There was a couple times where she just was like, "Oh, I could never have said that." Like when I said that I felt like my son had kind of fulfilled his contract and that his time on earth was kind of predestined. I think all of our time is predestined. And I'm not saying it matter of factly like I don't care. Are you kidding me? It's been a disaster for me. But yeah, I didn't really feel her empathy 100%. No.
Mhm. So your
But I'm
son
grateful
Kyle,
for the opportunity and everything.
who we're talking about, he passed away back in 2012, which is almost 10 years now, from a boating accident. And you talked in the interview with Tamarin about getting the phone call, and knowing immediately that something was wrong, and getting there and really wanting to hold on to your son and keeping the energy around him very positive and focused on coming through it. And we know ultimately he didn't. What was it at that time that gave you the clarity to be able to be so present in the moment that was so traumatic?
I obviously it was a lot of prayer. I had a lot of people around me, as I call them, prayer warriors. I mean, people were calling from every walk of life, praying with me on the phone when I would get on the phone with people. Um, and I just had to pray and kind of look for answers, regarding it. I still, I mean, I'm still mystified. I still don't have it all together. I'm still touch and go, you know what I mean, as it pertains to losing him. Um, but I will say it had to be. All I can say is God. I know it sounds like just a typical answer, but all I can attribute it to is God. Because what else would keep me together at a time like that? You know what I mean?
How long did you, I mean, we never completely let go of the fact that we lose a loved one. I know I haven't. When did you stop the mourning part? How long did the mourning process of the overwhelming emotion take place?
Oh no, I mourn often. I mourn often. Like I mourn in the mornings. Like I will get in a bathtub and just cry, cry, cry really hard. Or for example, his best friend in school is now a major league baseball player. So when I see him, I'm so happy for him, but I'm looking like, wow, what would have Kyle been doing, at 20 years old? He may have been a famous artist or a singer or an actor like he wanted to be. So I
Mm,
always think about what the possibilities are. You don't get over it, Jason. You learn to live around it. You live around it. That's how you kind of cope. I can sit here and talk to you as clear as day about it, and we'll be fine. And I won't shed a tear. I'm good when I'm speaking on his behalf and for him. But I can walk away and see a random child walk by and fall out. You know what I mean? It just really depends. It's very touch and go.
See, because the reason why I asked the question is when we lose a family member or somebody close to us, and we know and we have time to prepare, that's one experience. But when it is so sudden, it is so mentally jarring. I try to explain to people that it does this psychological, it has a psychological effect on you that is really hard to recover from. And
Mhm.
sometimes we get focused on that moment that they died and not the life that we were able to share with them. And so I was wondering if there was a time where you were able to get past that part that I was stuck in for 10 years. Were you able to get past it? Are you still in that?
I truly feel that people mourn differently when there's guilt involved. And I don't mean guilt for the like whatever happened to the person, but sometimes if they weren't as present as they should have been, or if they weren't, yeah, I just think if they weren't as loving or as present, or they weren't, you know how sometimes if you're in a, like, say you're beefing with somebody and then God forbid something happens to them, you feel 10 times worse because you're like, oh, I should have said sorry or whatever. I don't have any regret regarding my son, and that's what I would love to have explained to Tamron. You know what I'm saying? I was very present, excuse me, with my son. I told him I loved him the last time I spoke to him. I showed him I loved him every single day of his life. We would send I love yous. We would send cute messages. I would buy him things at random, just whatever. I always showed my love for him. And I was always involved in things he did. Like in his school play, I dressed him, I made his costume. He played Michael Jackson in The Wiz. I made the costume exactly like the one on the movie. Like these are things I did. I showed my love. So if you were in any way estranged from a person or you know you were mean to that person, you hurt worse when they pass away because you're dealing with your own, your own issues about it.
What do you think Tamron's perception of that situation or your relationship to the experience was? What did you think she was thinking?
I can't imagine what she was thinking, but what I do think is that she came into this interview with an already set preconceived notion about who I was. And I don't think I ever had a chance, to be
Mhm.
fair, because I know the warm and I don't know her, but I see the warm and fuzzy version of her. You know what I mean? She's very likable and very charismatic. That's why I was so excited to do her show because I'm a cheerleader for the cute black girl, number one. If you cute, I really want to be on your show. She dresses well, her hair is cute, she's cute. I was like, oh yeah, we can have a ball. I'm thinking she gonna be the homie. Nah, she's I don't know. It just was the energy was a little off. It was a little, I don't want to interrogate you about your body. I'm like, what? Who said body? Hold on. I was like, damn.
So when you talk about remorse, and I know that this was traumatic and you were away at the time, do you
Hmm?
have remorse for not being there when it happened? Like, do you have
Yes.
any feelings about that?
Yes. Sorry to cut you off, but yes. Yes. I
Mhm.
wish I had been with my child at that time. Yes. And the sad part, I think what I lived with worse, the only if I had one regret, it was actually my weekend or my week to be with him. But I was going to Evelyn's wedding and my friend was a wedding planner and I'm very cool with Evelyn. And at the time, that's why I left on 4th of July to go to her wedding.
And you're talking about Evelyn Lozada. It was her wedding.
Yeah, Evelyn and Chad's wedding. That's
Mhm.
why I went to St. Martin for it.
And so, how long did you live with the guilt?
I don't know if it's guilt. I don't want to call it guilt. Guilt is harsh. I wasn't guilty. I just feel like maybe that would have changed the outcome. But then on the same token, I say no, because then if it was his time to go, it would have happened with me. You know what I mean? I don't think it really mattered. When it's your time, I don't think it matters where you are or in what scenario. You know what I'm saying? So we could have
Mhm.
been driving down the street and had a collision or something, if it really were one of our times to go. I really believe, I don't know, I believe that we have a certain amount of time. And that's just how I guess that's my coping mechanism of how I feel about it.
And that is predestined time. I mean, they always say when we were growing up, it was your time is written. And I'm sorry if I used the wrong word, guilt. Definitely meant remorse, but it's good that you made the distinction between the two because when my brother died, I did feel some guilt. You know, I felt like this was my karma. I felt like, you know, it was my going away party that he was at. And so for a long time, a lot of the turmoil that I was in was feeling the guilt. And so I'm glad that you made the distinction. So you did therapy as a result of going through that?
I did very little therapy. Really, I did a lot of, I got quiet, like quiet, quiet room therapy. Like I dealt with myself. I started to reflect on just my life and things I had done. And for a while, I asked God, like, did I do something wrong to somebody? Like, I know I've never murdered anyone. I know I've never um, been disloyal to a friend. And I know I've never been, I know I'm not a snake kind of person. So I was like, what in the world could have caused something so bad, to happen in my life? But then you can't say, why me? It happens to so many people. People lose children, people lose family, parents. Death is unfortunately is a part of life. It's a part of life. You just don't know nobody knows what day they're gonna die. You don't know if you're gonna be 98 and if you're gonna be 2 years old. You just don't know.
Mhm.
You just don't.
So how did mothering change, if at all, after this experience? Did you become like a really overprotective mom? Like, I don't want my kids out of sight.
Yes. I'm probably a helicopter mom. I am more intentional with my time with my children. I think I'm more intentional. So, like when they're around me, when they're in my presence, I feel that I'm very present. And I'm always saying, I love you. And I'm all super mushy and lovey dovey. And they're like, stop, mom. My teenage boys are looking at me like, what is wrong with you? I think I'm more mushy than I was before.